Hey everyone, this is Jeff, Swing Trade Warrior with WarriorTrading.com, back with our weekly close trade recap video here. Today we closed out quite a few trades. Overall, this week was a pretty big week for us, realizing a little over $5,000 on our swing trades. So we'll go over those as well as what we're looking at and some new positions that we opened up. As always, I want to remind people that we do offer a 7-day free trial for guests, no cost, no money down or anything. Come check us out. We trade in a chat room. We offer day trading, swing trading, reversal trading. We have a whole bunch of different things. But for the swing trade specifically, we issue email and text alerts as well as in-chat alerts as well. So we have a pretty big community. We're always growing and always looking to meet new people. And, I think in 7 days you have a good opportunity to learn a ton of things. And even if you're already an experienced trader, we have a lot of pros trading with us, and we're a pretty profitable room. Over 80% of our community is profitable, which is, if you know anything about this industry, is outstanding. Check us out on investimonials.com. We're top 10 there. If you have any questions or contact info, my contact info is in the description below. It's Jeff at swingtradewarrior.com. Having said that, let's get into the week's swing trades. First one I want to talk about was Fold, Amicus Therapeutics. We got into Amicus Therapeutics, let's see, on March 10th. And we got in, let me zoom in here for everybody. Hang on one second, let me fix this chart. There we go. We got an Amicus Therapeutics here on March 10th at about 890. What I was looking for on this trade was a break over this flat top area here at 890. You can see over the past few weeks it had tested this 890 level a few times. So we got long on a break of that top. That day it didn't hold, but it came in and closed just below that. Next day we finally got our push above it. Our next spot was a double at the 920 area, right about here. And we ended up doubling with an average around 906. So we traded this, let's see, it would have been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days. 6 or 7 days we were in this trade. And the market was super volatile this past week as a result of the potential for the government or for the Fed to raise interest rates. And so we saw a lot of chop action in the S&P until it was determined that wasn't going to be an issue. And so what I liked about this trade is that it held up. We didn't really make any new lows on the daily through that chop. So one of the strategies I teach in my swing trading course is to trade strong stocks with a strong technical setup and a good fundamental catalyst. This company has strong numbers and they are expected to do big things. And we ended up exiting this trade, or I ended up exiting this trade for $1,000. My average exit price on this was at $9.56. So I was out right about here. On this day we spiked up to just under $10. I took $1,000 off the table, was happy with it, and was looking for other trades. Unfortunately, 2 days later, we caught a massive gap to the upside here. It opened at 1223, so we caught a gap of about 2.5, 3 points or so, and I ended up running over 13. And we day traded this in the chat room the day that it gapped. Really bummed me out. I was out too soon, but it's these types of things we see all the time in the stocks that we trade, because we are trading strong stocks with strong catalysts, and so they're more prone to upgrades and other types of good news that cause things like this to happen. So we did have a few traders who were still in this trade. They didn't exit where I did, and that's fine. They held it, and they made probably more money than I did on this trade. But I took $1,000 off of it, and overall it was a great trade for just about a week's worth of sitting on it. The next trade I want to talk about was Manpower. So this was a frustrating trade. I got in this trade back on March 10th also. Got in this trade on March 10th, let's see, at about 82.24, maybe 82.30, when we broke this little flat top where it tested previously a few times. They didn't catch an upgrade, but what happened was the catalyst in play here was that they were the first company to expand their services into one of the Asian countries, and the company expected to announce more business internationally. And so as an investor, people are going to see this as an opportunity for long-term growth. And so we're playing the momentum coming off of that catalyst. And so we got long over this recent high here, and we ended up climbing. Came against us a couple times. We held on to it. We had a pretty wide stop on it as the ATR was just about $2. And we ended up realizing, let's see, we doubled on this trade again over 83.50 area, and we ended up taking the trade off for an average just over $84 on a major pullback when the market, let's see, it would have been on a major pullback when the market came against us. We sold some at 84.60, and like I said, it was a real chop fest in the markets last week, and we sold the rest here just above our break-even spot. So that in total it was an $816 winner. Didn't know what was going to happen with the Fed, and so I was happy to take it off of the table. I was up about $1,800 on it, so I left $1,000 on the table. And then, of course, after the Fed came out with the news that they're not really ready to raise the rates yet, it shot up and made new highs. 3 points over our exit, so it could have been a $2,400 winner for us. But that's fine. You're never going to go broke paying yourself, and that's what we did in this case. Overall, still a good trade. There's really no reason to not be in it. I'm not going to chase it up here, but I'm definitely watching this one in the future for another entry. Another big trade we had this week was on Pier 1 Imports. This one hit my swing scanner coming up here on, let's see, we took Pier 1 on the 16th. We opened the position right here. And what I saw in this trade was this huge gap right here at the just under 1350. They gapped down after their earnings, and they've been slowly climbing ever since. So what we're looking at here is this curl off the bottom. We made the low, held the low, started curling, and we came up for a test of the gap. And when things get into the gap, all kinds of exciting stuff can happen. We see shorts start to cover, and buyers come in because they want to see a squeeze up to where the stock was trading at before it came down. And in this case, we were in this trade for an average of 2,000 shares at 1301, and we held. The market again was choppy. We didn't get much movement to the upside, but we had no exit indicators. And finally, we closed up just under 1350 at the gap, the mouth of the gap right here on Thursday. And then the very next day, we caught the gap up. They ended up catching an upgrade from Oppenheimer, new price target. I believe it was $20. So we ended up catching this gap right here on Friday. I ended up selling out for a point on the move, or just under a point on the move, realized about $1,950. There's no reason that this can't continue and test the 200 moving average over the next week, but I wanted to take my profits off the table. I was pretty exposed. I had quite a few positions open, and so I was more than happy to pay myself on this trade. I'll watch it for re-entry, see what it does if we hold the low of this gap from Thursday to Friday. Might be a good short, or we'll wait for it to set up here under a moving average. If it ends up continuing over this 1430 high, then I think we can get in it for a run to at least the 200 moving average. So we're definitely going to keep an eye on this. Beautiful trade. Again, trading strong stocks with strong catalysts, and we're putting ourselves in a position of advantage to catch things like this gap up on the upgrade. So that was a beautiful trade. We were in that one for 3-4 days. And very minimal work, was never against us at any point, and all we did was just decide where to take our money off the table. Another trade I took this week was ACAD for a short. We took ACAD for a short on March 16th. So again, we're short here. This was an intraday trade. It ended up becoming a day trade because I was looking for a breakdown of the low right here around 33.30. So I got in a little early around 34.90, and I wanted to see that $33 break. And we did get a break to the downside. We ended up hitting a low that day of 32.80. So that's what we wanted. But right then and there, at this low, the buyers came right back in, and they pushed this thing up to the highs, and I stopped out for just about break even, $10 profit to cover the commission cost. And so overall, this I think is still setting up for a move. There's a lot of negative catalysts in play, but it's holding this area of contention, this yellow line on the TAS profile indicator, excuse me, the market map indicator here. This yellow line is a area of contention. You can see it's bouncing off of it. So what we need is a sustained break to the downside to initiate another short position for a move down to the $30 area. Apple. I've traded Apple quite a few times this year with great success. We captured 5 points of the last 18-point move it made after, or 13-point move it made after earnings there, and from the 120 area. We captured 5 on it. I bailed out too soon. However, this time I waited for it to set up again and got long with my first leg at 123.50 on, let's see, this would have been on March 11th. Took this trade on March 11th. And again, the S&P ended up coming in that day. Apple sold off, but I had a wide stop on it, and I only took an initial size of 250 shares, so I was willing to give it plenty of room, well outside its ATR and well over the, well beyond the 120 gap area. And we held the area. Next day it curled, came up off the bottom. Took a few days to gain some traction. You can see here on the 17th of March we gapped over the 20 moving average and we continued climbing higher. I added at key levels along the way. I ended up with just under 500 shares with an average of just under 125. I placed my stop today. It was at the low day for yesterday. And when the S&P sold off toward the end of the day, Apple had a massive move down. I didn't look to see what happened as far as Apple selling off at the end of the day. I don't know if it was profit taking or if there's news out on it. I exited the trade and I actually never followed up with it. But we had a profit stop in place. We locked up a few points on it and we took it for about $1,200. We're up about $1,800 on at one point. I wanted to add my third leg over this 129.60 area for that move to the new highs. But now I'm just looking to re-enter under 25 again, play the same pattern, the curl off the bottom, or if we end up moving back to the upside, I want to get it over 129.60 for the move over the highs at 133. Apple tends to trade pretty cleanly, so like I said, I've had much success with it this year, and I'm definitely going to keep it under watch. We opened up a few new trades this week. I'll go over real quick. Commvault Systems, we traded this before. We traded this exact pattern before. If you look back here at the end of, or in March, what is this, beginning of February, we ended up trading this for a move to about $50. This was a pretty big winner for us. It was a few $1,000s on just about 1,000 shares, and we rode it up through this squeeze right here. If you go back to the, I guess it would be the first video I did in March for the trade recap, you can see my explanation on this trade. Well, it hit my swing long scanner, the same one it did last time, and it's almost an identical setup. We busted through the 20 moving average, held it up today, so we're long at 45.80, right where we closed at, looking to add some over the 50 moving average, and hopefully it'll squeeze just like it did last time. We'll play the same pattern, and we'll try to get to $50 on it again, lock up another few points. I went a little heavier on this trade last time because of how clean it tends to trade and how true it is to its pattern, and plus I'm up on the name for it on the year, so I figure I'll give it a little bit of room, and I'll give it a little bit bigger size is what I mean, and hopefully lock up another nice winner on it. We're also long Boeing. Boeing I've been stocking for a while. I was really bummed I missed it after its last earnings report back here at the end of January. It was trading at about 130, and it came up all the way to 158, 159, immediately after its strong earnings. So I wanted to catch it on a pullback. I missed this one, and however, we ended up getting long here a day or two ago, and we're long at about 155 right now, looking to add over the 157 area, and then again we'll double or we'll add a third leg over 158.80, the highs here, and look for that move to 160. So Boeing's an exciting one to watch. They have a ton of great catalysts. It's a big company, and they're doing a lot of big things. So if you read the news, if you ever read the news, you can kind of see what I'm looking for in terms of catalysts combined with a good technical setup for our strategy. So there's a little bit of profit taking after this big move up. when we had the FOMC announcement. It squeezed pretty hard. So overall, we're going to give the trade room to work, and we're going to add into strength when it finally wants to go and retest its highs. A couple more trades we're in, or one more trade that we're in is Twitter. Ended up taking Twitter today. They got some catalysts in play. They gapped up this morning. Couldn't hold the gap, but that's fine. Again, we're going to give it room down to this $46 area. We're long 500 shares right now, looking for a move over this $50. So it'll be critical when we get to that $50 area that it holds. I'm going to double over the $50 area, and I'm going to look to take this as high as we can get it. I'll trail my stop somewhere along the way. My first target is really $53 area, 53.5. So if we can get there, I'll be really impressed with it. Haven't traded Twitter. Haven't traded Twitter too much this year, but definitely looking forward to it in this case, as we now have decent catalysts. So I think that covers most of the trades from this week. If you guys have any questions about any of the trades we took or that I went over, feel free to email me. I'm always happy to talk about trades. Jeff at swingtradewarrior.com. And once again, we do offer a 7-day free trial for guests. If you're a day trader, swing trader, part-time trader, you've never traded before and you're interested in learning, we're an educationally based organization, and we trade the strategies we teach. So it's very simple, it's very open and transparent. We track all our trades, we announce our entries, exits, and targets before we ever even get in a trade. So everybody has the same advantage when trading that we do. And so it's very doable, and there's really no reason not to check us out. Like I said, if you have any questions, contact me. Everybody have a good weekend. Thank you for listening.